good morning. I am here in the middle of May. Lovely sunny day, and you're thinking now, so it's a while since I've done an artist interview, part of our Meet the Artist series, and I couldn't be more happy or more excited because I'm not just meeting an artist who I've been pestering for a while, but this is actually the first time me and this artist, I'm not going to say the name yet, me and this artist have actually properly met. So it is a bit of a thrill, and it's also a bit of a thrill to be in an area of Scotland which for some reason I never come to, and it's absolutely beautiful. Where am I? I can hear you saying, shut up, David, get a move on. We want to see the paintings, we want to know about the artist. So I am here in Carnoustie, famous for golf, I believe maybe even famous for textiles hundreds of years ago, but now a beautiful Angus town, and I'm here to meet Peter Allan.
Hello.
Well, Peter Allan, you're not actually from Carnoustie, are you?
No, I've got quite a varied background, but grew up in Fife, mostly.
But settled in Carnoustie, you love it?
Yes, it's absolutely fantastic here.
And I won't give too many secrets, but I've been chatting away to Peter and his lovely wife Denise, and they've got this charming home with loads and loads of art, which I love to see, and you can tell you're a lover of everybody's art, not just your own.
Yeah.
And I've even met his dog Pugly, and thankfully I've kept away from his cat, who I've been told is aggressive. So what's its name?
Lester.
Mm-hmm. Sounds aggressive, doesn't it? so anyway, you're all wanting to know a little bit about Peter Allan. So Peter has got such a, rewarding and awarding career, because you've had so many awards. And I would like, people like these videos, and it's funny, I listen to Giles Brandreth's podcast, and one of the first things he says to people is, what was your first dream? I don't want to know your first dream, but what I would love to know is where it all started, life. I think you were born in Glenrothes, you went to school there. Tell us about that, and when you first showed an interest in art.
So, yes, I grew up in Glenrothes, but funnily enough, and you don't know this, but I was actually born in Hong Kong.
Oh.
My father was in the army, so we travelled all over the place. They were just happened to be in Hong Kong when I was born.
Wasn't that a Swiss connection?
Yeah, my mother's Swiss.
Ah.
And we lived in Germany and in England, and then settled in Glenrothes when I was about 7 years old. So I really do consider myself very much Scottish, very much a Fifer. So I didn't. You'd asked me about when I realised that I was an artist or had an interest in art or was good at art. It didn't occur to me until quite late on.
Really? Mum and Dad weren't painters or anything, were they?
No, they were artistic. They were more sort of crafters, I would say. Yeah. There was always paintings on the wall in the house.
It was you and your brother that were brought up, wasn't it?
I have two brothers and an older sister.
And any of the others shown art? No. Well, that's interesting as well, isn't it? Because so many parents and siblings are very artistic background, so that's quite nice. You've started something new.
There was no history of that in my family. There's a few members of my family are musicians, but not painters or artists.
So you grew up, and it was maybe secondary school where there's maybe an ability.
Probably when I started doing my higher, my peers and my teachers started telling me that how good I was, and I hadn't realised. To be honest, I took it for granted. I thought everybody could draw and paint, so I didn't really realise. And then suddenly, I was the best artist at school.
It's lovely, isn't it?
And teachers were saying you need to go off to art school, and I hadn't even occurred to me that you could have a career in art at that time. And
very self-deprecating, I think, as well, Peter. So. Let's jump a stage, because we've got so much to talk about, and I'm really wanting to talk about these beautiful paintings in a few minutes. So can we skip, because I think there are lots of young people, and going back 40 years when you went, or a little bit more than that, when you went to the esteemed and very, very difficult to get into the renowned Duncan of Jordanstone.
Yeah,
So-
it was very, very difficult at the time. Yeah.
So you go from school in Glenrothes, you're a boy that's very relaxed and everything, and it just happens to have got to this terrific art school. How do you react, Duncan of Jordanstone? How does that change your life?
It was an absolute revelation. It was just brilliant. Just the best time in my life, I think. Just incredible to be in that environment of lots of people who are so passionate about art. Lecturers, your peers, the whole environment's just, it brings you on in terms of being an artist. You're mixing with so many people of like mind. And
You sort of found your home in a way.
absolutely. I used to get teased a little bit when I was at school because I would say, "Oh, art is my life," and they would say, "Oh, well, that's a bit pretentious, is it not?" You know, but in actual fact, it's quite true. It's very much a vocation for me. It's something I need to do.
And wandering around your lovely home here, I am a bit nosy in houses. I first admit this. You know, I said to you, that's a David McClure, and you know, and it's names like that must have inspired you.
Absolutely, yes. Well, Alberto Morocco was head of fine art just as I arrived at Duncan at Jordanstone, and then it was David McClure, Will McLean, Jimmy Morrison was one of my lecturers as well. Very
So
famous.
a real place to be in the 80s, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
absolutely.
So going back a little bit, Peter, you graduated, have I got this right, with a honours in fine art in around 1992, is that correct?
No, I did my honours in fine art in 1987, and then I returned to Dundee University at that time in 92 to do my master's degree.
You have got a whole string of credits and letters after your name, haven't you? They go on and on. Why did you go on and do the extra course?
Well, I'd done 5 years. I'd worked 5 years at Wasp Studios in Dundee, just struggling along as an artist. Had quite a few commissions and awards, a few good sales. Fife House in Glenrothes had bought my work, Hillcrest Housing Association and so on. And I just got to a period in my work where I felt there was going to be a sea change in what I was doing. I had a sort of a real idea about wanting to do something on an epic scale, for instance. And the master's degree seemed to be the right move at that time to go back into that sort of art community at the art college, work with some fantastic lecturers at that time.
Had you met your wife by this time?
Yes, I had. Yeah, I met my wife when I did my first degree at art
Sure,
college.
you met
she did
at-
jewellery. Yeah,
And was she supportive of you going on to continue to
absolutely.
learn?
Yeah, yeah.
It's fascinating. And so you were doing well. I heard rumours that some of the big institutions were looking at your art, the KPMGs, Deloitte's, these sort of people. And you were following a track, and then I think, I've maybe got all these dates muddled up, Peter, but you were probably coming towards your mid-30s, and then you thought, I'm going to teach.
That's right.
Yet another qualification.
That's right. Yeah, 3 degrees in total.
Cue the music, Tom.
I've always taught. So even I've always done a bit of lecturing, a bit of private tuition, and funnily enough, I went to get my teaching degree because I thought I really wanted to get some more permanent lecturing work at the time. And then when I did my training, which was obviously with secondary pupils, I actually found I really liked working with secondary pupils more than I did with the kind of sort of vocational adults that I'd been working with previously. The thing about a teenager, everybody thinks, oh no, how can you teach a teenager? It's got to be a terrible job, but in actual fact I loved it. Teenagers are an open book. They're like a sponge. They want to learn everything from you. Whereas when you're teaching adults, sometimes they come with their own sort of preconceptions about what they want to do. But young people, they just oh, tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it, and I'll learn, and everything's new to them. So it was a real revelation to find that secondary teaching was something that really...
Which is lovely to hear, really lovely. You know, and I'm sure my art teacher got locked in a cupboard back in the 70s.
Well, that does happen.
But tell me, so it was Montrose Academy, wasn't it?
Yes.
Big school?
Around about 1,200 pupils. So compared to the 5 schools, that's not that huge. But.
So, and then you taught for how long?
I did 23 years there.
And quietly selling your paintings.
Yeah, well, I was lucky because I'd had a whole career as a professional artist for at least 15, 16 years before going into secondary education. So it was relatively easy for me just to continue that work, obviously at a slightly slower pace, but I kept that thing going as I was teaching as well. Yeah,
it's brilliant, Peter. It's lovely to hear all the artists' different backgrounds. So what I'm wanting to lead on to now is to talk about these fabulous paintings. I am also really honoured, and I think also it suits Peter as well, that the Ballater Gallery is going to be exclusively representing Peter, which is what we also do for other well-known artists like Stuart Le Gatherer and Alistair Little, Ian Faulkner for Scotland. And it takes you a while to paint. You don't rattle them out. It takes you know, there's a lot of almost architectural detail in placing the objects in the painting. Would that be fair?
Yeah, it does take quite a while to produce a piece of work. I go through a whole process of planning out the composition. You can't see off camera, but I have still life set up. I like to work direct from life rather than using photography.
I can see, you know, lots of high quality pieces, not bric-a-brac, things that you can tell you and your wife love and you've brought in. Yeah. So, you know, that's great, Peter. You've given the sort of story, the slightly sliding doors, how things happen. And I think probably your paintings have changed over the years as well.
They have done. I've had a long career. So
not that long. So let's start talking about this painting here. I think it's beautiful, Tom, so we're moving in there. So this painting, well, you can talk, because there's a lot of people who are much more interested than I am about the medium, but talk a bit about that. But also, this painting is called, I think you talked about something like For the Love of Fruit. That's and right, yeah. I love the mixed media and the fruit and the rubber plant, and there's the darkness and the brightness and the ability that you have of painting wood. You carry on.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So we've got a bit of collage going on in this bit of work. There's also bare wood, so I do, as you say, sort of like and quite enjoy the qualities of the wood itself, and you see that one in the one behind you as well.
Lily and avocado.
It's a little bit like marquetry. So my dad used to produce marquetry paintings, and Falkland Palace, which was quite near where I lived in Glenrothes, there's a fantastic room there that's full of marquetry, and I've always liked that quality of different grades of wood.
It almost feels you could touch it, and they would be different. So here, this painting, Lily and Avocado, which is also gorgeous the way it's all been placed, and the bits in the background. How would you explain that marquetry as well effect?
It's exactly that, David. I'm basically taking that idea of marquetry and using it as, well, I suppose that's a kind of pattern in the background, isn't it? But it gives a contrast to the sort of starkness of the tables here, so it just helps that jump out a little bit.
Well, they're stunning. So these are going to be, all these paintings are going to be coming to the Ballater Gallery soon, and the website with all the details will be coming on. I wanted to show here a smaller painting, which I think is beautiful. These are, I think, about 21 by 30 centimetres, is that correct? Yes. And you know, this is a different shape, but a similar sort of size. Yeah. And tell us a little bit about how these came about.
So these are acrylic paintings, as are all the works that you're seeing today. This one's a mixed media. It's got a little bit of printmaking in that, so it's a technique known as monoprinting. I do quite a lot of wood cuts and lino cuts, and sometimes I'll put them into my paintings as well. And a monoprint is a technique where the leftover ink is used to do a drawing and transferred onto a bit of paper. And it just gives it another sort of effect. I always feel that my work's quite tight sometimes, and I quite like using certain techniques like collage and monoprinting that loosen up some of my technique a little bit and give it a little bit of texture and pattern in the background.
And the garlic, and do you like painting?
I love painting garlic. That's always been a very popular theme with people that buy my work. The garlic paintings have always been something that have sold very well.
Yeah.
And I do like painting from life, and I like things like garlic because they're organic shapes. I don't have to be too precise for them.
And by nature of your work, which you've explained, is you're generally painting on board, aren't you?
I do. I prefer board. I have painted on canvas in the past, but the canvas tends to be a little bit flexible. I prefer the harder surface of
they really,
board.
do you know, honestly, Peter, they're so beautiful. You know,
Thank you.
will definitely be wanting one in my own collection, and I look forward to seeing them all framed. And what is also, I think, I know what certain people who will be watching these videos are saying, get to the point, David, how much are they and how big are they?
Okay.
So these are 21 by 30 centimetres, and I think fantastic value, the level of work that's gone in. It's almost an arts and crafts feel to some of them as well. Okay. And £950. So a wonderful framed painting for under £1,000. And the bigger paintings here are 90 by 60 and 60 by 90 centimetres. And I can detect Peter's getting embarrassed, but again, I think they're fantastic value at £3,950. And we can't, I mean, I think, how many are we going to get to start with for your first, if you like, mini exhibition in Ballater?
Now, to be honest, my work going on to the market is quite rare. It's rare to the market, so I think you're very lucky to get as many as you're getting. So I think I've got about a dozen pieces.
Yeah, about a dozen. About a dozen coming to the Ballater Gallery over the next couple of weeks as you're watching this video, but they'll be dropping in, as I say, to you. And what Peter's rushing around now is to organising some high quality framing. I'm very, very happy to have pushed Peter so aggressively to paint so many for us, and you're seeing almost all of them here. There's a couple more that he's finishing off. He wants to paint his aggressive cat. I'm not so sure about that.
I might gift you that one.
I'm not, everybody knows, I'm sorry, but cats and I don't click. Pugly and I click very well. But anyway, Peter, it seems like we've just started chatting. We could go on and on forever, but I think your story will interest the viewer, the collector, the buyers, if you like. I think your actual work hitting the market properly for the first time for quite a few years is really going to be a talking point. I was actually yesterday sending a painting over to Denver, and we're getting it packed and things. I can see Peter Allan paintings arriving out, travelling, if you like, throughout the world from the pickup from the Ballater Gallery. So thank you very much.
Thank you.